Being a mother to a son or daughter that has mental illness and substance abuse, it's very challenging. It's very lonely. It's a very lonely walk. Mm. People will judge you. People will give different opinions and, recommendations, advice of what you should and should not do. One of the most popular advice that was given to me, and I hear it all the time, is let them walk their walk. You can only help those that want to be helped. While I agree, there are some exceptions. First of all, we have to really look for the root. Why did they turn to drugs? And while many people can say, well, they had a choice. You're right, they had a choice. But what made them be so weak-minded? I mean, the majority of people that turn to drugs, aside from, wanting to explore it because they were introduced to it as children or whatever in school or peer pressure, whatever. The majority of people that turn to drugs are children. It's because there's some kind of brokenness within them. There was something that they lack. And I'm not here to make you feel more guilty, because we already feel so guilty, and it's eating us alive. But we have to kind of take that in consideration, that we as parents had a lot to do with it. And sometimes, and I know that it wasn't our fault. We didn't have a choice. We had to go out there and work and make things happen, provide. And our children perhaps spend a lot of time to themselves around other, kids, friends who, unfortunately were a very bad influence. Hmm. But really, like, we have to take some blame for that. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's not like we just look at the final, product, but try to really dig deep in your heart and in your conscience and just recall and go back from the day they were born. Did they grow up with a home where they felt safe, where they had mama or daddy checking up on their homework, making them feel safe? Or did they watch you struggle? Did they watch you work endless hours? Were they deprived of things that children need to grow up with, a good self-esteem, with safety? Or was it something that led them there? And just know this, the way the government is, you know, they're very intelligent, they're very prepared, they work on the statistics, they're very well informed of uh, the outcome of our children that, are facing these challenges. They know it. They know the cycle. They know that it comes from, most likely, poverty, single parents, living in a, bad neighborhood, or, the peer pressure, the access to drugs. They know that. They know that children end up in the system. They know that parents will walk through this alone. We're forced to work endless hours and still, struggle. They know that. They know that they end up in the juvenile system, and then they end up in jail, in prison. They know that. They know they end up with, you know, in a psych ward. They know that. They know that in the psych ward, they use them to try all these medications, and they know that when they're in there, they're locked up. More than therapy, they're just drugged so they can shut up, so they don't have to struggle with them. They know that their brains are being overdosed. They're not healing. They're not healing because now they're not using street drugs. Now they're using, you know, all the pharmaceutical drugs. Yeah, they're being polypharmacy. They know that. They know that when they come out, they're they're crazy. They're gone. They're diagnosed with all this mental illness. They know that. They know that when they're in there, they're not, being treated right. People heal with love. People heal with, good therapy when they can talk to them with love and they can feel love, because that's what they feel like they're rejected. They feel like they're a mess or no good. They know that they're hurting their loved ones. They know that um, they're probably better off dead. They know that. You know why? Because they want to end the pain. And that's the reason they turn to drugs. They don't want to live in sobriety, because sobriety means to feel the pain that they're so eager to escape from. They're in pain. But there's really no way out. There's not, because there's really no help out there. The government knows that that's where they end up. And they know that family members are unable to deal with it. They can't cope with it. And what do? They put them in these places where they make them more crazy, and then they're released. Most of the time, they don't even call the family to tell them that they've been released. And the first thing that they do when they've been locked up, they go straight to look for those drugs. And since they've been without the street drugs for months, they feel like they can still tolerate the same dose that they did before, and they end up dying. They're talking about Narcan and other related or generic brands of, Narcan, to reverse the side effects of the overdose. But they don't tell you that wears off in 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes. And the effects of the drugs take effect and kill them. They don't educate you on going to the courts and asking for a legal guardianship. They don't tell you that you can request the police or the EMS when you call them and you caught them overdose. They don't tell you that you can request a voluntarily commitment. So when they go to the ER is forced to do what they should be doing anyways without it, but they don't. And that's how they clean their hands, by saying, oh, this patient signed a AMA. AMA means that they acknowledge that, once they walk out that hospital, even though they're dying, as long as they can say their name and where they at, and answer a few questions, and understand that once they walk out, they can die. They're so happy to let them go, and they end up dying. And then after they die, they can take their organs. Yeah, because we have a organ shortage nowadays. And it's a cycle. And that's where it ends. Grieving mothers, grieving fathers, siblings. There's nothing that's really being done to stop this craziness, this evil that is happening in the world. I mean, I used to be an Uber driver, and I can tell you that 3 times I transported crystal meth. Yes, I did. And you know why? Because I was doing package delivery. And something in my heart told me this is a weird package. And even though I wasn't supposed to open it, yes, I did open it. And that's what it was, crystal meth. But I didn't report it because I was scared. I was scared because, you know, the customers, whatever you want to call them, they can trace your, the ride. They have your license plate. They have your picture. I didn't sign up to be transporting or facilitating, the drugs. But I'm just sharing this because the government ain't doing nothing to stop this. So it's getting very easy for the drug dealers to just distribute drugs. I guess they don't care because they're taxing them, right? Like, how is it that our president now is, getting rid of all these illegal immigrants, but you can't get rid of drugs, please? Of course they don't want to. There's money in our children going to juvenile. There's money in our children going to jail and prison. There's money in them being in psych wards. There's money in them going to court. There's money in them dying. Their organs. There's money all around. It's a cycle. People need to wake up. People need to start doing and grabbing the little things that they offer us. Wishes. Take your child off the donor organ registry. Do it in your state. Do it nationally. Put it in your will and notarize it and have it handy. If you suspect your child's, your son or daughter or overdose, then what you need to do is you need to call 911 immediately. You always need to have a Narcan with you. When 911 arrives there, you need to tell them that you want them to call the judge and request involuntary commitment. I don't know what they call it in every state. Here in Texas, it's called involuntary commitment. Because once they transport them to the ER, believe me, your loved one is going to wake up with a Narcan. By the time they get there, they're going to wake up and they're going to go into an immediate withdrawal. And that hurts them a lot. So they're probably going to want to use more. Or they're probably going to be scared if they're in, in the system, like in probation or parole. And they're not going to want, to want to face time. Or they're just so tired and having a psychosis crisis where they're not even aware. They're not competent. But the hospital will say they are if they choose to deny care. And then go home and die in front of you. Another thing you need to do if you suspect their overdose is that you lay them on the side with their legs bent. And you immediately, turn them over when you're ready to administer the Narcan. Lift them up and administer the Narcan. Watch some videos on how to use the Narcan. And know that the Narcan sometimes has to be repeated many, many times. Don't think or assume because you administer Narcan and they woke up and they're fine that they're not going to go back to the side effects of the drug that they took. Don't. That's what I did. And my son is not here today because I didn't know that. Once they start making those gurgling sounds, you hear like fluids in their lungs, they're gone. You better hurry up. Don't listen to doctors. You stay there. If they tell you that they can't watch them, stay there. Call a patient advocate. Anything. Time is the essence when there's an emergency, a critical emergency such as this. Make sure that you're always doing what you need to be doing as a parent. I'm not saying to carry all that burden. It's very hard. It's very hard. And I know that sometimes, we can get sick watching this. But just remember, take care of your kids when they're young. If you suspect they're using weed, that's how it starts. Take action. Don't let it get so bad. Watch who your kids are talking to. Look at their phone. Look at what they're writing. Most people, when they're suicidal, they'll write it. My son wrote a lot of books about suicide, and he gave me a lot of hints, but I didn't get it. Oh, this is the cycle of a substance abuse victim of their pain, of self-medicating themselves. And this is pain and the cycle of a grieving mother, because you grieve your child way before they take their last breath. You know that they die so many times before your eyes, and you don't know where to turn. Don't, I say, and I repeat this, don't depend on any hospital, any doctor, any medication, any psych ward to be the answer. You are the answer. You have to fight for them. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything to save your child. Especially when they're young. It's very easy to say, put a restraining order, get rid of them, you know. When they die, it's going to hit you hard. Because it's hitting me so hard. I'm replaying every memory of where he was crying for help. And it was deeper than I thought. Take care. Much love. Much strength. Don't blame yourself. But just know how to work the system. Because the system's not for us. It's not. They don't care. They know step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then it's just a circle. You're not the only one. They're not the only one. They know it. They know it. They know where they start. It starts with a hardworking mother. It starts with poverty, bad influence, juvenile, jail, prison, mental wards, overdose, hospital, death, for organs.